All right. Welcome to the webinar, Service Throughput, your dealership's most important key performance indicator. I know that sounds pretty grandiose, maybe hyperbolic, but when we get into it, I think you'll agree with me that it is absolutely critical to all the profit centers of your dealership. My name is Brett Coker. I'm president of Coker Automotive Consultants, fixed operation consultants for the last 20-some years, 40-some years in the industry. Now, we've only got about 30, 35 minutes, and this is a huge topic. So I've had to talk strategic initially. Hopefully, we can find some time to get into tactical, granular details. But a lot of these things may be for future webinars. There's just a lot of stuff to cover here. So, all right, service throughput, what is that? Well, essentially, it's the number of flat rate hours closed in a specific time period. In service, we sell the product called labor, and we quantify it in flat rate hours. And so we need to be tracking how many products, how many flat rate hours can we close in a specific time period, daily, weekly, monthly, okay? All right, so what happens when we have limited service throughput? Well, as you can see here, there's a lot of demand and not enough supply. So what happens? We're competing. I think over there on the left side, the guy in the yellow hat, that's your service, that's your new car manager. He's competing for this limited throughput. Oh, there's one of your salespeople, and over here's a customer is wanting a warranty recall. The guy in the blue shirt, he wants an alignment. There's your used car manager. So all these activities, our internal activities, are also competing with customer pay and warranty and recalls. So with limited throughput, we're all competing for a limited supply. That's not good. Let's talk about vehicle resale rates. This is absolutely critical. This is a survey that Toyota did a few years back. And what it found is that customers that frequently use your service department, there's an 86% resale rate at your dealership. If they occasionally use your service department, it drops way down to 48%. Seldom, 19%. If they don't like you, they're at 9%. If they're standing in that crowd and we're a convenience-driven society and they can't get through that gate into your service department for a week or 2 weeks, I know hopefully there's another gate over here that's for express service because we got to deliver quality, convenient service price for oil change and maintenance services. Or if you're inconvenient for that, they're not coming back for other services. So it's absolutely critical that we have enough throughput to take care of our customers so that they want to come back for the resale rates. As you see chart here is incredible. We've got to wrap ourselves around our customers and we got to love them and to give them the deliverables. Again, quality, convenient, service, price. You all have heard this, but this is absolutely correct that sales sells the first vehicle, service sells the second, third, and fourth. So again, another reason why we've got to have sufficient throughput to take care of our customer needs. All right, let's talk about how throughput impacts the new vehicle department. Well, PDI turnaround time. We get a couple truckloads of vehicles. We got to get them PDI'd out in the lot. Floor plans are running. And boy, we can't get them in. Well, we're stocked up and stacked up in the service department. And so the sales manager comes to their general manager and dealer and complains and whines and gripes and bitches. And we got to get the PDIs out. We got to sell the units. Dealer, I can't get the unit sold because service can't get them through. What about accessory installs? And so the salespeople, they don't want to screw the deal. And so if we can't get vehicles through the shop in a timely manner, I'm going to avoid accessories, upsells, that sort of thing, because I don't want to screw my deal up, and or maybe I sublet it out and let somebody else make the money. So limited throughput limits our ability to upsell accessories, tire, wheel swaps, and so on. And so customer may want a certain set of tires or wheels or whatever, running boards or whatever, and we try to poo-poo that because we're afraid we can't get it through service. And so we're trying to sell them something that maybe they're not really looking for. So we force them into a unit and say, no, we really can't do that. Well, maybe the other dealership down the street can. What about used vehicle department? Well, turns and average gross profit. It's all about that. When a vehicle comes in, you get a truckload from an auction or whatever, they're depreciating the minute they hit the lot. And so we can't get them through the shop to get them recon. And so what happens? The salespeople, they'll walk customers out to the back of the lot. We just got this in and show them the vehicle. It's the right vehicle. We roll it without doing a recon or a safety check. Find out we need brakes later on. We thought we had a $1,500 gross, and when we get all said and done, we got an $800 gross on the front end. And we're putting vehicles out there having been safety checked or inspected. So, you know, and I get it, used car manager. I get it. We got to get those vehicles on the lot. We got to turn them around. We got cash tied up in there. That's depreciating cash right there, depreciating asset. But hey, we still got customer payback there. We still got warranty and recalls. And so what do? Do we push those customers aside so we can get your vehicles through the shop? And so there's that balancing act with limited throughput. Same thing with upsells and add-ons. The customer said, yeah, well, can we add running lights, or can we put whatever it may be? Can we install an upgraded system? Well, maybe, maybe not. Limited throughput. What about parts department? Well, geez, depends on how much wholesale and kind of retail you have, but probably about 90% of all dealership parts are sold through the service department on repair orders. So limited throughput, that limits the limited flat rate hours because of the parts to labor ratio. When we're selling labor, we're selling parts. If we're limited the amount of throughput we have, we're limiting the amount of parts that we're putting through the shop too. So new vehicle department, used vehicle department, parts department, and of course F&I, because F&I is based on retail units. So everything is tied up in throughput through the service department. How does throughput impact expense control? Oh, well, we didn't have enough throughput, and so a customer comes in for an oil change, and an hour and a half later, they're knocking on somebody's door, and a lot of it's they go into their salesperson. You know, it's taking me an hour and a half. What are we going to do? How come I can't get my car to shop? Why is it taking me a week to get my airbag recall? So what do? We may comp the dealer general manager, may comp the oil change to keep the customer happy. We may discount something and then we're training the customers to ask for discounts. So here goes our goodwill policy expense. Let's put them in a loaner car. Let's give them a lift. Let's give them an Uber ride. So of course those are expenses. And by the way, what's the value of an expense dollar? Expense dollar is exactly the same as a net profit dollar. If you spend $100, your net profit just went down $100. It's not the same as a sales dollar. Maybe 8% of a sales dollar makes it down to net profit, but an expense dollar is a net profit dollar. And if we're creating expense dollars because of limited throughput and trying to keep customers happy and throwing money at them, we're throwing net profit dollars out the window. Okay. What other impacts? That's a negative upside down thumb, so that's not good. Negative reviews. They're slow. They're inconvenient. It took me an hour and a half to get my oil change. I couldn't get an appointment for a week and a half. And again, we are a convenience-driven society. We've got to find a way to take care of customers now, because if we don't take care of their maintenance needs because they need it done now, I needed to get it done tomorrow, they're going to go to the quickie lube. The tires are coming off. So tire upsells, brake inspections, the hood's coming up, fluid exchanges, all these maintenance profitable items go somewhere else. They're going to do the MPIs and the DVIs, and all we're going to get is a negative review. Okay. And I mentioned this, negative sales staff perceptions. I've heard this a number of times from customers that, again, if they're not happy in service, who are they going to call? They're going to call a salesperson or maybe the sales manager, but typically the salesperson. Small towns, they may be calling the dealer general manager, but salespeople then are saying, well, you know what? Once you go on down the street to Quickie Lube, you don't have to have your maintenance performed at the dealership to keep your warranty in effect. Well, that's awesome. Great. Let's tell our customers to go to our competitors and put money in their pocket. So again, if they can scrape all the gravy work off of that car, and since we're not getting the customers in our shop and building positive perceptions, that the resale rates go in the toilet. Boy, that's awesome, Mr. Salesperson. I get it. I know where he's coming from, but we can't allow that to happen. But that's a negative impact of limited throughput. Again, we talked about accessory sales. A lot of shops were subletting this stuff out, just going down the street. Let's sublet this, sublet it. When you sublet, the sales managers think, well, I'm getting a better price, and I'm turning vehicles more quickly. The second point may be true. but you're not saving. You may be saving some gross, what you think or cost on your deal, but we're making absolutely zero gross on the sale. If we're paying them $400 to sublet something, there's no gross profit. That's pure expense. So we're taking guaranteed gross profit out of the service department and parts department, which is part of the dealership, by the way, and we're giving it possible gross that's commissionable on the front end of the sale, and giving that guaranteed profit to our competitors. Not good. So we can't, any subletting, we got to stop it by increasing throughput. All right, let's talk about what a flat rate hour is worth. Flat rate hour, again, that's a product we sell. A lot of numbers here, and I know we got a lot to cover here, so I'm not going to go into, I'm going to skim over it. You just have to trust me on the numbers, but let's assume you got a $140 effective labor rate. Now, effective labor rate is not your door rate. This is what your average selling price per hour is. Your door rate may be $180, but you're not selling oil changes for $180 an hour, but your average is somewhere going to be less than that, depending on how well you're using variable labor rates. But let's just say $140, and let's say you're grossing 72% on labor. You got a 0.95 parts to labor ratio. That means for every dollar of labor, we're selling 95 cents in parts. That's not unusual. And we're grossing 45% gross profit on parts. You may be less than that. Your effective labor rate may be greater, but this is a pretty good average. So essentially, with the $140 effective labor rate and 72% gross profit on labor, we're grossing about $100 every hour we sell, and we're grossing about $60 in parts gross for every hour we sell. So overall, every hour of growth of flat rate hour, we're grossing $161 in gross profit. Now, to become a flat rate hour, three things have to occur. We've got to sell it, first of all, and that means service advisor training, that we're using all the tools available, multi-point inspection / digital vehicle inspection. DVIs are the way to go. That we're doing good phone skills, that we're turning phone shoppers into buyers. What a great opportunity. I phone shop all the time. We blow at this as an industry, which means the bar is way low, which means we got a huge opportunity here. That our advisors are building value and just not quoting prices. If we're just quoting prices, it's a commodity. Like a gallon of gas is a gallon of gas. We're not going to be the low-cost provider in our marketplace. So we're not only going to blow off our customer because we're just quoting prices, not building value, but we're building negative price perceptions. Why is your brake service $450 and somebody else is $299 or $329? Oh, well, we're doing rotors and they're not, but we didn't tell them that because we didn't build value. Closing skills, closing the sale, selling and closing are not bad negative words. Some people seem to indicate that. Heck no, because we consult with the customer. We're only selling them what they need, the consultative approach. So, of course, we need to present everything and close everything. That's our obligation to our customer, make sure the car leaves safe, reliable, and dependable. Service sales management. Our service managers got a lot on their plate. They're production managers, they're warranty control managers, but they've got to be service sales managers. They got to train their advisors. Their advisors get retrained every day by customers. We got to keep them pumped up to speed, and finally honed every day. It's a tough job for a service advisor, and they get worn down. Sales meetings, product knowledge, selling skills, all those things, service sales management is critical. All right, step two, it's got to be produced. All right, and this is really what we're going to try to get into here in the remaining minutes after I cover a few more things. How do we produce it? How do we produce labor? Well, there's one, we got to recruit techs. Oh my God. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Train, we got to continue to train and train and train so that they're as efficient as possible when they're actually in the stalls. And then tech retention and then proficiency maximization. Hopefully we've got some time to get into that. So let's talk about, we'll get back into those subjects here in a minute. But the third thing we got to do is we got to close it. You know, if our service advisors are not organized, we're selling the hours, we're producing the hours, but we're not closing the hours. And if we're not closing the hours, it's not a sale. So we got to hold them accountable. We got to look at our open hour report every day and stay on top of that. I go in the shop and I'll see our open hour report. And there's open ROs from 6, 8, 9 months ago. Well, those are probably not going to be collectible. So we just wait. We paid for the technician. We paid for the parts, but we got no revenue. 67D, policy expense, that's net profit right out the window. Got to stay on top of it. Of course, we're not going to pay them if they haven't closed it. They got to close it to get paid. Hopefully get paid on an incentive basis on gross profit. Okay. So let's talk about retention. First of all, technicians. We all know the technicians are not out there. There's shortage of 30-some thousand. I'm hearing 100,000, but there's a lot that we're short. They're just not being produced. They're not out there. Supply and demand is not working in their favor. So we need to recognize the value of a technician. They're worth $250,000 to $400,000 gross profit, parts and labor every year. What the heck? They are worth their weight in gold. So let's recognize these are not grease monkeys. These are profit producing and flat rate hour producing throughput, absolutely gold mine. So we got to show them respect. We got to find ways to show respect and appreciation. If they're having a good month, proficiency wise and comeback wise, how do we get the wife involved? Can we send her a gift certificate for a spa day or something? Can we have events where we bring their family kids in? You know, the technicians got to be happy. If we make a family happy, where they love the dealership, they're part of our dealership family, they're less inclined to say, hey, yeah, go ahead and take a job somewhere else. Well, we've got it pretty good here. They respect us, they admire us. How can we tie our technicians to us, these quality technicians? Because everybody's looking for this guy. Well, I'm going to offer them the moon. He's making 40, I'll pay you 50, 55, 60 bucks a flat rate hour. So how do we put some handcuffs on them? It's not always money that motivates technicians. A lot of it is, but a lot of them, they want other things, respect, maybe time off. Maybe we got to go to 4-day work week, so they only got to put their pants on 4 days a week. We got to find a way to keep them with us. And communication, the time to find out we got an issue with the technician is not when they're rolling the toolbox at the back of the shop. The service manager needs to have periodic lunches, one-on-one. How's everything? How's your kids? How's your family? How's this? How this? Make them part of your family. Be concerned about their concerns. And so that if there is an issue, you deal with it proactively, not when it's too late. Okay? They're just too valuable. We got to look at them in a different mindset. How do we put handcuffs on them? Can we, if they hit their goals, that we put them in one of our nice vehicles and we pay the lease on that vehicle so they're driving in their neighborhood with a nice BMW demo, or not demo, but lease vehicle. And as long as they continue their numbers, you know, the pride of that, and obviously driving the product awareness, just start thinking outside the box, because we got to make sure we keep these technicians on board. How do we recruit? That's a tough one because everybody's doing it. Well, let's talk to the Snap-on guy. Let's talk to, you know, Matt Go, truck guy, tool guy. We can run ads in Craigslist, Indeed. We can have our existing techs who, you know, they like to talk to other technicians. They do Facebook and maybe I forgot what that app is, but anyway, we've got to use the traditional methods. There's a lot of companies out there that I think are kind of scammy. You know, we'll hire you a tech, give us money up front. Those tend not to work very well in my experience. And some markets, Craigslist works, some it doesn't. Same with Indeed.com. It just depends on the market, but you got to throw the seeds out there. And be proactive. If you're on Indeed.com, don't just run an ad. Reach out to capability of the platform, and you can reach out to people, technicians, and be proactive. Hey, we offer this, we offer this, we offer this, we offer this. Okay. All right. Got to play the game. Don't have any choice. Growing your own. This takes time. It takes money. You know, there's the typical mentoring process where you pair an apprentice up with a tech. Be careful how you pay that, because the mentoring tech starts getting flagged all the hours of his apprentice. So he kind of uses him as his personal assistant. And so as the apprentice gets more capable and proficient and is flagging more hours, the A-Tech gets paid on all those hours at his rate, $40, and we're paying the apprentice tech his hourly rate. So actually the apprentice's cost per hour of flat rate hour produced is the highest in the shop. There's better ways to do that. And the thing we're going to talk about is teams. And then apprentice career path. You know, we bring them in and put them, one way to do it is put them on express team. How are their work habits? Do they have a learning curve? Do they follow process and procedure? Are they careful? You know, are they going to be somebody we can invest in? It's kind of a testing area. Can they do an oil change in 15 minutes? Do they do good quality MPI? Are we making sure their QC is spot on? Speaking of that, be careful about having apprentices doing MPIs, DVIs. These guys aren't skilled on what to look for. They can do some of the basics. We need to make sure we have somebody that's skilled that can make sure we caught everything, or all we're going to be doing is oil changes, letting cars out of there that aren't properly maintained. No air filters aren't being changed, and they're coming back in a year later on the hook. And now what do you do? Because the engine's out. And then teams. We'll get a chance to talk to hopefully here in a few minutes about teams. I really want to plant this bug because that's something we need to look at in this day and age. All right, proficiency. Everybody says, oh, productivity, that's the name of the game. Productivity is just part of the equation. The equation is proficiency, which is made up of productivity and efficiency. Productivity, that's the number of tech clock hours actually working in the stall divided by available clock hours in the service department. He or she is physically in the shop 8 hours, clock hours, actually there from 8 to 5, an hour for lunch, just say. Now, how many hours are they actually in the stall working? The number is close to 5. Wait, 60% productive? Where is he? The other 3 hours? Well, let's see. He's going to parts department. He's waiting for parts department. He's talking to other technicians. He's having a cigarette break, snap-on tool. He's chasing down service advisors because he doesn't understand what the problem was on repair order. Is poorly written up RO. He's going to the bathroom again. He's having another cigarette break. He's surfing on the internet. He's waiting for parts again. He's talking to the other technicians. Here comes the roach coach. You know, if I stand, and I do this quite often, is just watch. What are you doing? Why are you walking over there? Why are shop supplies all the way over there? Why do you go over here to get an oil filter? Why are you go? Where's a special tool? I've got to use somebody else's laptop. Why? 3 hours a day, and a lot of times we lose productive time because we're afraid of carryovers. So they're locking it up at 4:30. They're finished, and in the morning, what happens? There's nothing in their stall. And we got to go through the write-up process, the dispatch process. They got to go on the lot, find the car, bring it in, rack it up before they actually start working, producing flat rate hours. So we lose a half hour in the morning, half hour in the afternoon per technician. From a production point of view, carryovers are a beautiful thing. They can work all the way up to 5 o'clock, clock out, go home, come back the next morning, 8 o'clock, get a cup of coffee, cars in the shop, cars in their stall, hoods up, rock and roll, okay? They got to be there 8 hours anyway. We're not asking them to be there any more hours. We're asking them to work from 8 to 5 and make more money while you're there, okay? Efficiency. When they're actually in their stall that 5 hours, hopefully we can get that to 6 hours, how efficient are they? And this is a byproduct of how well trained they are, how motivated they are, how physically fit they are. Do they know the shortcuts? And I can diag real quick, boom, 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 boom. That's, again, training, experience, motivation. So if they're in there for 5 hours, they may be producing 8 hours. They may be 130% efficient. Okay, so it's a different thing we need to look at. How we impact productivity is different than how we impact efficiency. Now let's talk about increasing proficiency. What's the value of that? Let's just take an assumption. Let's say a 10 tech shop. If you got 20 tech shop, double this. And let's say our current proficiency is 90%. And we increase that 10 percentage points to 100%. And there's some technicians that are 130, 140. I'll have people tell me, I've got technicians at 250%. No, not if you got warranty. That's not possible. Now you can do a labor multiplier. If the job says it's 3 hours, you may pay 3.5. But a very good technician, typically with warranty, is 120% would be a pretty good number. But let's just say we could get 100%. Remember, the flat rate hour for 1 hour is $160 gross profit, parts and labor. Let's say we're working 8 hours a day, 22 working days in a month. Okay. Currently, at 90%, we're producing 1,584 flat rate hours per month. That's the product we sell. That's throughput. And we're grossing $253,000, parts and labor, gross. If we go to 100%, now we're up to 1,760 hours and $281,000 gross. So that means that's an increase of $28,000 per month in gross profit, or $300,000 per year. And again, that's a 10 tech shop just going from 90 to 100%. And by the way, that $28,000 per month, almost I'm going to say 88% of that is net, because it's not like we're paying a salesman at 25 or 30%. Our advisors, if they're paid on gross profit, may get 8-9%. And then we've got the parts people that we may pay an incentive on, and then some management bonuses, maybe 12%. So 88% of that 28,000. So what, 22, 23,000 additional net profit per month, or maybe $250,000 annual, do with a 10% increase with a 10 tech shop. Powerful. Plus, we just increased 176 hours, flat rate hours per month, right? That's product we're selling as flat rate hours. We just increased it. That's like a whole new technician. You just hired a new technician. Oh, but they don't need any more stall space. Get it? These 10 technicians now are producing at 100%, 90%, from 90% to 100%. That's 176 more hours. That's like a whole new tech, but we don't have to get them uniforms. There's no head cost for some employment costs. You know, a lot of employment costs are based on total salary. And these 176 hours that we're producing is spread out over these 10 technicians. So they're making another 17 hours per month. That times are $40. That's $800 more money for them on average per technician to take home. That's a Harley payment. That's an F-150 payment. And if we get them used to that additional income, and mama likes that additional income, that becomes a new normal, a new standard, a new where we need to be. So proficiency improvements are a win-win-win. Win for the profitability of the dealership, a win for the service advisor, a win for the technicians, a win for parts department, a win for service, new and used vehicle sales because additional throughput, and the customer. More technician income means they're less poachable if they're money motivated. So we got to put some silver handcuffs on these technicians because, again, they're worth $250,000 or more to us. All right, running out of time. Let's go. So what are some things that we can improve productivity? A shop assistant. You know, we've got these 8 technicians. They're like brain surgeons. Why are we having them prep the patient, clean up after the operation? Are some things that a shop assistant can do that are $15 an hour stuff so that the technicians can be doing the $160 an hour gross profit stuff? Just think about that. Logistics, they got to have access to shop supplies and special tools. I've seen shops still where the technicians got to walk across the shop to the service department, to the parts department to get a screw, nut, bolt, tie, connector, or something because we're worried about shrinkage of a 5-cent nut and bolt. It just costs you $5 in gross profit for him to walk over there and back. What are you doing? Let him put all the shop supplies, ideally a handful of nuts and bolts in his toolbox. So he needs something, boom, get it and go. It's all about proficiency. It's all about throughput. Service advisor write-ups. If we don't take the time with the customer through our scheduling and appointment system to when we're doing a write-up to capture the prime items and ask clarifying questions, we're not giving a good story for our technicians. He's got to spend time trying to identify where that squeak, rattle, intermittent issue is. Got to have good write-up. Service advisors, you impact proficiency in the shop. And then proactive parts department. What am I talking about there? You need to understand sense of urgency. Your job, all your parts, all your commissions, everything goes through the service department. Those technicians need to be in their stall turning wrenches. What can you do to help them? It's not about you, it's about them. What's your parts fill rate percentage? Parts manager, what is it? I don't know. Well, that's an important number. When a technician comes up there and asks you for a part, for a widget, you got to put the widget in his hand right there. Not, well, we don't have it, we'll order it. Because then he's got to stop work on that car. Maybe he's got 2 stalls or not. He's got to pull that car out and start another process. That pulling cars out, finding cars and getting keys and ROs, that's lost productive time, okay? Fill rate is a critical number, and it's got to get higher and higher and higher. Take the parts out of the technicians. You know, we got $15, $16, $17 hour guys back there in parts, maybe more. But I want to take the surgical tools and the pieces and parts to the technician, to the brain surgeon, so he can do his work. Shop supplies, again, make them accessible. Don't make it an inventory item that they got to come get a parts guy to give them a screw, nut, bolt, whatever. That's crazy. Fast moving parts accessibility. If I see somebody walking constantly in the parts department for fast moving parts, put them out there. I know a lot of y'all do. Filters, air filters, oil filters. Inventory them every day if you need to. I don't care, but you got to get them out there because you got to have them accessible so they can grab one. They can relieve inventory at that time on the RO, whatever you do, or electronically. Find a way. Push the parts out to them. Increasing efficiency when it actually install. We talked about this is train. Got to give them the mental tools. I don't know why they sometimes resist wanting to go to training. Got to find a way. Pay for the training. Pay for the day off. Whatever you got to do. Pay plans. Pay plans are all the place, pluses and minuses. There's no perfect pay plan, but you got to have some incentive pay plan, whether it's based on proficiency, whether it's based on flat rates, something. If you pay them on clock, just clock with no incentives for proficiency enhancement, you're going to get poor proficiency. Teams. Let's take a couple minutes talking about teams because this is something we're going to have to be thinking about in the future. So teams. Whew. Here's some benefits of this. One, we get these technicians been with us maybe 30, 40 years, and they've got this incredible wealth of knowledge of neck up, but their neck down, the body is giving up on them. You know, they just can't crawl underneath the cars or dashes, and their backs are going out on them. And so you don't see a lot of technicians in their 60s and 70s. And so we lose all this brain drain. With a team, 3, 4, 5 technicians, you've got a team leader. It doesn't necessarily have to be the A guy, but instead of him retiring, why don't we make you a team leader? Okay, you're all going to work together. It gets complicated here, and I don't have time to get into pay plans, but essentially it's based on the team proficiency. So some technicians are motivated by money. Some are motivated by working together as a group and not wanting to let your teammates down. So, you know, again, we can keep older techs in place and use their knowledge, and they can be training younger technicians and say, you go get the car in, you know, let's say we got 5 guys in the team. They might have 3 or 4 stalls. They don't need 10 stalls. And so you go pull the car in, Johnny, and you're doing the DVI over here, and I'm going to check up on, make sure we got everything, and I'm training at the same time. And he's directing activity. It improves overall efficiency. You could have 2 or 3 people working on a vehicle. It lowers your training costs because I'm not having to pay an apprentice on flat rate hours that the mentoring tech flags plus his clock hour. Everybody's paid a clock hour times a proficiency rate of the team. So you're paid for being there and you're paid for how proficient the team is. So you don't want a slacker. If you're slacking on the team, they're going to be slacking on you. They're going to be hitting on you. Get it going. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. You're impacting my income. Simplified dispatch. If you got a team of 4 or 5 technicians, they may be dedicated to one advisor. So the advisor is just dispatched to the team leader. He's communicating with one guy as opposed to obviously different types of dispatch processes. But if you're dispatching to the job in general with 3 other advisors, you guys got to coordinate. Well, I already dispatched one to Johnny. He's got 2 transmission jobs. He can't take another one. With a team, you know exactly what's going on, and there's a direct line of communication between the team advisor and the team leader. Okay, so there's some benefits in that. Wow. Okay, so that's a lot to talk about there. So if you got some questions, go ahead and post your Q&A, and I'll get back with you on that. But understand how important this is, dealers and general managers, and you got to put some focus on this and find out how you can build your throughput in your shop through retention, recruitment, proficiency improvements, everything we talked about there. Did I get in on the sideline? Yeah, about 35 minutes. Whew. All right, well, enjoy talking with you. Again, my name is Brett Coker, Coker Automotive Consultants, Pensacola, Florida. Increase your throughput and love and life. All right, thanks. Have a great one. Bye-bye.